Thank you, Thomas, for the presentation, and it has been amazing. Colleagues, the time is for the Q&A. I already see a hand raised, so please do feel free to raise your hand or send us your questions in the Q&A tab or in chat, and we'll give you the floors. But we're going to start with the very first question from our colleague who has raised his hand, Syed. So allow me to give you access.
Hello, colleague. I have a question. How much of the visitor management, item viewing, and the bidder verification does WFP handle? And what protection are in place if the buyers don't pay or disrupt the auction? Does WFP require deposit from the buyers?
Thanks. I'm not sure if I understood the full question, but let me answer you. We have the feature for the deposits as well, right? So we do require deposit for countries that we believe and from experience are required that the deposit is needed. So, for example, we had in the auction in Cairo, we required the deposit. Actually, was certified checks. In the case of Venezuela, we didn't require it, and it was not a problem at all. So it depends from country to country, but we see the risk, and whenever it's needed, we put the deposit there, right? Like the feature. Is that what you asked, or you asked something else? Sorry if I didn't catch it, especially in the beginning.
Basically, yeah. And the other part is like about the visitor management and item viewing. Visitor management and item viewing. How WFP will handle this? Any local office help during this process for item viewing?
Yeah, we do have the support from, first of all, we do have the support from our country office, WFP country office. They are supporting us in this initiative as well. And the viewing, it happens once again when it's needed. And so if you have certain equipment that we believe there is no need for the viewing, and of course, all this is discussed with the colleagues from the other UN agency, right? Then we don't have it. In the case of Cairo, and sorry, because Cairo just finished yesterday, so it's the one that's fresh in my memory. Like in the Cairo, we had the viewing for the light vehicles, but we have other equipment, IT equipment. OCHA also wants to sell it. They were closing the office there, so they also sold some furniture, some other stuff. For those cases, we didn't have the viewing. We just took pictures and we put it there, right? So it depends. Light vehicles, definitely trucks, light vehicles, generators, those things. Like if you don't have the viewing, if people don't come and check high value items, like they require viewing. So that's the way that we are proceeding.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for explanation. I have another question about the case methodology, about the Colombia case methodology in your presentation that you were explaining. I wanted to know that how many vehicle and how many auctions or country this study was conducted of. Like, you mentioned 20% higher based on the public auction from your online auction. So
yeah, that specific one was a specific case from Colombia that we deep dive and we do that analysis. Yeah, that was for comparable vehicles, right? Because we had to compare the vehicles. But what we have seen so far is there is an increase between 10 and 20% or up to 20% of the revenues, right? In general, like for all the auctions that we have done and we compare, like there is this increase of the revenues, which makes sense, right? Because like you have more people, you have more competition, especially now with that feature that I mentioned about the 5-minute extension. So it's increasing even more because there is this whole battle. It's very interesting to watch, like who is gonna give up first. So I hope I answered your question, Syed.
Thank you, Thomas and Syed. Just in the interest of time, we'll have to go with the other questions and give opportunity for other colleagues as well. But Syed, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to raise in the chat and we'll get to that one as well. Thomas, one practical question that I put in the chat that normally comes from the field is in terms of visibility. So how would agencies know that in which countries, at what time, WFP will be organizing and running auctions. This is for planning purposes so that the country offices of different agencies would know that there's going to be an effort for an online auction in my country, and I can then look at my assets and see what is up for disposal. How do you handle that?
So for the moment, we are cherry picking, right? Zamir, keep in mind, it's a new service. We are planning to scale up in 2026. So right now we are cherry picking the ones that can do it with us. Usually we are informing like we have an auction there, and certain UN agents have already approached us. That was the case of OCHA in Cairo. They saw the online auction, that we have done previously. So they came to us, they were interested, and we did, right? So we are really cherry picking, like for those that are doing. We don't have a calendar. We are trying to develop the service. It's as my boss like to say, it's a journey that we are taking with our partners. So, we have already quite a few agencies approaching us. Once again, they see what happens. Like in Tajikistan, the OMT came to us and asked us to present it because they saw the auction there. Nepal is the same. Colombia, Venezuela, they are after us. So we have quite a few agencies coming after us who want to participate in the auctions that we are organizing. Over.
So hopefully a planning or kind of a forward-looking auction calendar will be available so that other agencies can also see that this is coming up, and they can reach out to you. Okay.
Yes. Can I add just a little bit of a vision, because as we said, this is a journey, So the ambition here is for the tool and the service to become so, let's say, widespread. The people will know that there is continuously something being disposed of, right? In different countries, different places. So eventually the specific, communication, the specific bid could be something that will need over time to get less and less importance, because people might know that UN as a whole is actually has a place where you can go and see which items are available, and people will get used to the type of items that we dispose of, because we don't dispose about everything but specific items. And so this is a completely new service. But if we look at it in a 2 or 3 years time frame, we really hope that the communication and change management that we will initiate now will actually be streamlined over time, with people knowing, if you go on the online auction service of the UN, you will find whatever they dispose of, and people will just normally understand that. But of course, this needs to be started, and so we will, of course, coordinate at the OMT level. By the way, our idea is that wherever there is a country or an agency which is interested, we tell all the others, so that can become a broader, exercise that can take, the needs of different agencies, which will make even the auction more richer and more interesting for the first phases. So, but it's something that over time should be kind of becoming a normal way of disposing some items through, and that people will normally look into it over. Sorry, Zamir, for jumping in, but I wanted to give what's the idea behind it.
That's actually very good. So we have tenders for the UN, and everybody will know that I can go into this website and see what ITBs and RFPs are up. There would be hopefully in the future a place to go and see what is up for sale in the UN, and how can I bid for this. Thank you, Alessandra. Let's go to Kim Sachs from UNHCR, and then after that, maybe Zhao, you can also come in and share your questions, and then Thomas and the team will take it from there. Kim?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the great presentation. And it's always really nice to see this, fire of innovative spirit in colleagues that I feel is very much present here. But what was confusing me a little bit, that as I think in UNHCR, we also have this service, right? So at first, it might look like a duplication, right? So I was wondering, okay, is this fusing, or what is like WFP solution different than UNHCR's? And then from like because I mean, duplication would that wouldn't really make sense. So I was just wondering what's like the vision there. And then from a practical side, I was wondering how it works with the payments. How do we make sure that all the transactions are tracked and auditable? Thank you.
Okay, I think I'll take.
Thank you, Kim. Can we also take
sure.
Zhao's question as well, Alessandra?
Sure,
and maybe
sure, absolutely.
Maybe I can come in before that. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Kim just landed on one of my questions that I had to wanted to give that has to do with the duplication of sale, and which I think you're going to answer that. Okay, my second concern is this. We look at the system that you presented, so it's very, very great. I mean, I love it, but this is my concern. Usually when the vendor or bidder buy a vehicle, or let us say an equipment, let us say the entity has been paying a storage for this particular equipment, let's say vehicle or generator pack into a place. And if a bidder happen to win this particular lot and pay for it on lot, I mean through the app, is there a clause in the contract just in case if they do not pick it on time, wherein the storage cost will be transferred to that particular bidder? Because usually you have a time frame to collect your equipment. Now they did it online. You don't even know this pricing. The country office or wheresoever the sale is don't know this pricing. But they bid it and then they pay for it. Now, is that the time frame for them to collect from this place that storage cost is being paid? So are those costs going to be transferred to the person that purchased the equipment? Is there provision for that?
I think, Zamir, if you agree, in the interest of time, we have only 4 minutes, but maybe I address, alerting the team, I'm addressing the duplication discussion, and then I let the other question very quickly to be answered by the team, okay? So for the duplication issue, I think this is where Zamir, our colleagues from the BIG and the UNAT comes into action, okay? There is an entire work stream which is called Unified Roadmap, Services Roadmap, which actually is in the process of the making in the next months, which is actually calling all of us to make a directory of all available services, okay? And then really look into the opportunities for, so the step number one is to see who has what and which type of provisioning. And then the second step would be, are there opportunities for, for mergers or consolidations or joint, for example, I think provisioning, no? So for example, WFP and ISRR are already very well collaborating on the UN Fleet joint venture for leasing vehicles to other entities. We might very well also collaborate on the disposal of assets. And I think that could be also another great step that we can look forward, because, by the way, within the online auction solution is totally complementary to the current traditional modalities, which will stay in many, many countries and for many different type of use cases, okay? So I think this is exactly what the UNAT efforts is going to look at, and we will have months ahead of us to actually start this discussion and see how to shape these modalities for the future. But I think the more in the meantime, the more experience we get, the more it's going to be interesting for us to work together and shape the best service for the entire UN system. Okay, that's for number one. I leave the other two questions maybe to Thomas and Jeremy. Over to you.
Yeah. The ones is for payments, right? And the other one is for the storage in case not pick up. So yeah, the payments is everything traceable in the solution. Especially it's even more traceable when it's paid by card, as I mentioned before. So you have the whole trace, auditable trace in the solution for the payments. And for the storage, that's a very good question, Zaud. And we had something in our terms and conditions. If the assets not pick up on time, like we can cancel the sale and we can re-auction, and we'll keep the money to pay the extra cost of the storage, right? So pretty much like that. We haven't faced, fortunately, any situation like that so far, but it's covered in the terms and conditions. Over.
Thank you, Thomas. And colleagues, just to reinforce that the Business Innovation Group's position is that there could be healthy competition for services so that there is a market, but there's also work going on, like Alessandra mentioned, in terms of like creating more collaboration and consolidating certain expertise and efficiencies that different agencies has brought together as global shared services and create coalitions like we have for the UN fleet. I know we are like on the time, like at 11 New York right now, but there's a couple of good questions from CDF from Miron. Thomas, if you could look at this, who is responsible for posting the items on the digital platform? Does the hosting agency charge for any fee? You mentioned there is a fee, but how is the fee structure basically working? And let's say after the sale of the items, how does the payment transfer and fund transfer would work? Will it go to WFP and then to the agency, or will it go directly to the agency? And I think the last question there is, are the items available for UN staff members in the auction as well? So I believe they also will be considered part of the public, or there is any limitation.
Yeah.
If you could take these, then maybe we can conclude with that and get to the rest of the questions in our written Q&A.
Yeah, the payment will be received by WFP. We have, if it's bank card or if bank transfer, but we will manage and you just transfer at the end as a whole, like your share, right? We have been doing actually joint auctions, WFP and other UN agencies. There is the fee that I mentioned is a flat rate of 7% for the early adopters. For now, what was the other question? Sorry.
Who's managing the posting of all these pictures, descriptions, and all?
Our team. But especially for the description, we always double check. It's our team that is feeding the solution with the information, with the photos, with the description. Of course, we're gonna need to collaborate. You need to tell me what exactly you are selling, right? So, but then we adjust the description, and if there is missing any detail, we will consult you, and etc. It's a collaborative work as well on that sense.
And the last point was on the principle of auction. So is the auctions also open to UN staff, or it will be limited to outside bidders?
Yeah, and I think it's mentioned in one of the slides that it's for UN staff and Publico in general, right? Of course, colleagues that are directly involved on the auction, they don't participate. We tell them don't participate, right? Because they have background information, but any UN staff can participate on the auction and can register in the solution and bid. And we have seen that happening.
But that's the same rules of the traditional methods, no, of course. So, but yeah, in general, it's going to be open to everybody. By the way, there are also interesting questions about how to use it for private things, but we'll discuss that in 2026.
Indeed. Thank you, Alessandra. Maybe we can conclude the session with the question that Perry posted right now about using global shared services through local mechanisms. Like there's common back offices obviously being built up in different places. There's self-starter common back offices that's coming up soon. So do you see the potential for these GSS services, like for this online auction, to also become a common back office initiative? That can be basically, it is a global service, but it could be delivered through a common back office collaboratively for all of the agencies that are participating.
In general, Zamir, we discussed this also in the past, and with the current GSS that we have up and running. GSS naturally actually fit with the CBO, with the common back office, right? So in terms of operational, let's say, fit, it's absolutely something that it's already happening, by the way. And we advocated for it to happening, as I was saying before, at the ONT level and on the country, let's say, broad aspects of it. So definitely there is a connection there, and it's a natural connection between global shared services and CBO. So I think it will find the space exactly as it found with your mobility, with your accommodation, with HUNAS and many other services that are run already on a global shared service way.
Maybe you could clarify, Alessandra and Thomas, that does the solution sits within the UN System Booking Hub, and is it like a one kind of like one credentials used to access the UN Booking Hub services such as mobility and accommodation and all, as well as the auction, or this UN System Online Auction is sitting on a particular platform and requires dedicated access to it? Over to you.
You want to take this one, Alessandra?
Yeah, I will. No, thanks for the clarification, the question which allows us to clarify. No, the fact that UN Booking Hub is used as a technological stack, or let me say a technological framework for us to build, as written in the General Secretary report, right? To use that success technological and the system, because services wise, we develop SLAs, we develop legal frameworks, we develop financial cost recovery models, and we develop operational SOP. So the entire systems which is running on the UN System Hub is very well proved. So we have a technological solution which is built for the UN, from the UN, which is up to standards in terms of data privacy, of data protection, of data, architectural, is following the policies of the UN. So by using that type of technology, we can very easily scale up services as recognized in the report. But all solutions are actually accessible by themselves as a single entity, a single solution. There are some agencies which are extensively use, mobility, the UN Mobility Service, but this is not, they are not accessing UN accommodation. That's absolutely fine. People that are using HUNAS services which are not using mobility, and vice versa. So absolutely, the solution is up and running as itself, but is leveraging on the benefits of the UN Booking Hub for all that it means, the prerequisites in terms of GSS system, with a single sign-on, with the mobility features and lots of other features that we discussed before. But the system is absolutely self-standing. There is a team which is dedicated only to this one. The fact that it's also included in the UN Booking Hub, it helps just streamlining quickly and scaling it up faster.
Thank you, Alessandra, for clarifying that. I can see a hand raised, Saba Inieri. Your mic is activated. Please come in.
Yes, thank you very much. I actually had a couple of questions in my head, but obviously the flat rate, but I hope you're going to cover that point at some point, or please. But my first thinking is that, to my understanding, there is no legal support locally at the country. So what happens if something goes wrong there? What happens with the taxes? What happens to the auction rules and the custom officers? This would be my one question, if there is no local support from your side. And allow me to continue just very quickly, similarly to this question, like a fraud or a mistake happens, who would be responsible if the local colleagues are handling everything in the country? Thank you.
Local, sorry? Local?
The local colleagues, because the assets are in the country, and the legal expectations and the regulations are different from country to country.
Yeah. So we do provide local support for what you mentioned, thanks to our country office colleagues, WFP country office colleagues, right? So they also support, and we, depending on the auction, we also send a disposal officer, depending on the size of the complexity of the auction. We always clear with the government beforehand whether or not we can operate the auction, the online auction. That was the case, for example, that I was mentioned in Kenya. When we were clearing with them, they mentioned, oh, but to do so, you need to have an auctioneer license, right? And we don't, therefore, we are not operating in Kenya. Did I miss anything?
Yes, I believe a little bit, but I understand because the question was too long. So if anything goes wrong, yeah, that's my bad. If anything goes wrong.
We have our country office that will be providing the support. WFP country office, we work with them like it's a solution provided by WFP, so we work with them.
Look, if I can also come in and explain also a long-term vision. First of all, this is a journey, right? And the same as many years ago, people would say, well, no, you never succeed in getting all of the guest stars, not even of WFP, all connected to a system. And then, you see now we have today 8 UN agencies using the same solution. And the same as mobility, we were told that carpooling could not work if there was not somebody locally dedicated to, foster the service. As the service maturity moves forward, so at the very beginning, as you say, we will probably need to go in places where we have support and we know what can go wrong and what cannot go wrong. There will be things that might go wrong. We learn and we improve, okay? Because the service is a new modality of making, the business run. But we are definitely committed as a long journey to make this solution as self-sustainable as possible. And trying, as we always said, to be complementary to other services. So where the conditions are allowing it and where the operation will find it flexible to have a solution that is anytime ready to go and dispose of services without long calendars, without long, agreements, and making disposal very quick and fast, we will move forward. In our contexts where there might be risk or so on, we might advise on going on with different providers and different solutions. So this is really a journey that is coming in. So let me say, let's start with those places where we have confident that we can go very well, when we have strong operations that know already how to manage, disposals, and then leverage on that to move forward. So that in next year, when we will meet again, I'm sure we will have much more examples to share of even pitfalls and problems that we had, like we had in every solutions and service, and we progress together. This is the beauty of having a UN service for the UN, right? Because we can grow and learn together. Over.
Thank you very much. And what was the flat rate? Was it mentioned yet?
So the flat rate, it's 7%. We are doing some analysis, but it will be probably 7%. 7%.
Yeah. I understand. And thank you very much.
Thanks for the questions. Very good ones. And I see another hand up from Samia, but we have some questions on the chat. Should we go first to the chat, Samir, and then we come to Samia?
We will come to all of them, but I could see our colleague Saba had a follow-up question. Saba, maybe you can type that in the chat, and we'll get to that so that we give opportunity to all of the colleagues. Maybe before we go back to another live question, Thomas and colleagues, there is a couple of questions raised in the chat. One was about the capacity of the individuals that are attending the auctions. You can see that says most scrap bidders are illiterate individuals and they may not be able to use an app. So how has this been taken care of as part of the solution? But there is also another related question, is that basically moving from traditional auctioning situation to a digital marketplace, of course, requires a lot of behavioral change, both for the offices that are utilizing the solution, but also for the bidders. So what kind of support is available and pre-made in the application itself, or is provided by WFP, so that could encourage participation of more bidders in the process? Over to you.
Let me first address this, and then I pass it to the team. This is the beauty of being in a system that has scaled up services to 21 UN agencies, right? If it's something that we are super good at, is actually support operations and colleagues and partners to actually use our solutions, which again, it goes from digital to the financial, to the operational and the legal part, to mainstream their own businesses. So the team is, ready with, let's say, change management is user expertise. And Zamir, I don't know if you were reading the question, sorry, I missed that, if it was a question coming from colleagues. Sometimes actually, some field operations are very resistant, and some field operations are truly interested in jumping on innovations. This is typical. Humanity is typical, right? You get some early adopters, and you get some very, very, very late adopters. So for sure, we are more interested now to look at the very early adopters, which would take these as a, let's say, new way of doing business, to give more flexibility to operations to do what they want without, again, necessarily like a huge planning in terms of disposal. And so let's say leverage on those operations within WP and externally, they want to actually onboard and test and try and see and improve. For then make sure that you can tackle the entire opportunity of partnership that are out there. But we get a lot of interest, okay, and we were also a little bit cherry picking on the ones that we could support so far, because of course we wanted to make sure that what we do is a great success, but the team is ready to support in terms of change management. Thomas, Jeremy, I don't know if you want to comment on anything that I said.
Yeah, I want to add on the specifics, like the change management is there. The app, the solution is very easy to navigate. We are trying to put forward not scrap, not broken items, especially in the beginning, because we want to build like we want to the people to see that we are selling good things. So we are not going to be focusing on scrap bidders. We can discuss further, but like we recommend and we discuss, and we had this discussion in with the other UN agencies, and but we try to focus on people that are literally, and they have the means to also, because one of the goals is to maximize the revenue, right? I see also in the questions talking about inspecting the asset before. Whenever is necessary, there is a viewing, especially for light vehicles. Usually you are not going to sell the light vehicles without someone checking them, right? It's very difficult. So for all auctions that we organize with light vehicles, there is the viewing of the vehicle, so people can go, can switch on, can check the engine, so that, but we don't recommend that there is a viewing for everything. So for things that we are selling in Rome, most of them, there is no viewing. Like for the light vehicle we sold in Rome, yeah, there was a viewing, but like for the IT equipment, for the other equipment, for generators, maybe you have a viewing, right? So, but yeah, it works as actually a live auction as well, right? Like if there is a need for viewing, we are going to allow the viewing, and we are going to organize the viewing. In the case of Cairo, when we were selling the light vehicles of OCHA, yeah, we organized the viewing. We brought the OCHA light vehicles together with the WFP vehicles, and we took care that our office in Cairo support us to take care of everything there for the viewing. And for
Thank you, Thomas.
Did I answer everything already?
Yes, thank you. I think you partly answered, but I'm also mindful of time and other questions, as well as colleagues that are online and have raised their hands. So I can see another hand raised from Samia Nassar. So please come in, Samia.
Hi everyone, thank you for this presentation. Actually, I have one question. When you present the differences between the traditional auctions and the online one, the first point was there is no auctioneer fee for online auction. So what will the WFP do if the country require the license auctioneer? for example, 80 of countries in the Africa like Kenya, Sudan, Congo, Cameroon, Burundi, almost all Francophone countries require a licensed auctioneer. So what will the organization do if these countries require auctioneers?
So far, the only one that we faced this issue was Kenya, right? But if it requires a local auctioneer license, we just cannot operate there. We cannot operate there. But the only one that we haven't tried. We have tried in Senegal, for example. You don't need it. In South Africa, you don't need it. I'm trying to remember other countries. The countries that we found in Asia so far, we didn't have any. Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Nepal. You don't need the local auctioneer license. So
yeah, but in general, also Thomas, allow me also to come in and say. This is a new modality, okay? And so even discussions with the governments over time might change. I mean, digitally pervasive. We're talking about a digital platform where AI is going to change our life, make lots of us lose their jobs, and change completely the way we operate, right? So what I'm saying is that digital, that we like it or not, is going to be pervasive. And this is going to be a discussion that maybe we can even have with some of the governments that right now they don't see this in an opportunity. They might want probably to be, part of the solution, or they might want to open it up to whatever. So I think the conversation is going to happen by the time that the tool is rolled out everywhere. And of course, it's going to be easier to do it where there are no restrictions. It's going to be just naturally easier. And maybe there are some countries where we will never be able to go with an online auction, and then we will go with traditional methods, right? Because as we said from the very beginning, this is complementary. But there are also things that might change over time, given to the discussions that we might have collectively. Maybe if there is an interest in the UN to move forward to new ways of working, we might approach and start discussion with some of the countries which are more open to maybe, and change the situation there. But this is something that needs to be done case by case and country by country.
So my understanding that this service will not be providing for these countries. For these countries, will provide the traditional one.
Yeah, we need to check each country separately, right? That's what case by case. So then we approach them and see if it's really necessary a license, right? That's what we did. So usually we contact MOFA, we contact the country office. Our country office has a relationship, and we check it. So we don't take it for granted that certain countries we cannot run. We go and we contact the government and ask them, we have this solution, we want to run here, and etc. So for each country, if there is any country that you are interested, we can go and check properly with the government formally. Actually, we do formally because we need a formal answer to say that we can go ahead.
What will do if the government will not let you know, do the online auction there?
That's what Alessandra was mentioning, that we need to be, we can engage in a discussion, but we need to see case by case, right? If there is really a need from the other agencies for us to do online auction in a certain country, let's say the one that I know that we require access license is Kenya, then we are gonna have to engage with the government there to review that decision, right? And to see if we can change with the new solution. That's what Alessandra was mentioning.
I think, I don't remember your name, apologies, Sabit.
Samia.
I think the issue,
Samia.
Thank you, Sabit. I think the issue is very much also an economical issue. It's more a financial business model rather than necessarily a modality, because the modality of digital, as I say, is something that, we like it or not, is going to be rolled out over the next time. But for sure will entitle new business models, which are not happening over time. So I think the straightforward answer, which I thought I already gave to your question, but just to make very sure, is that yes, in some countries tomorrow it's not possible to run online auction tools, and we will work and see in those countries we can actually, using the results of the other ones, maybe provide a value to the entire system so that we can actually move forward. But some countries might be close to the opportunity, and we will see if there is an opportunity for us to work at the global collective way to get things moved. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for clarifying this. I mean, obviously, this is a new transformation to move from a traditional auction service to online service, and hopefully countries will catch up with this. So to clarify, Thomas, the backbone of your local support is the WFP offices around the world, and in countries where you do not have WFP operations, is there still like partners, a partnership with other agencies or potential that you could still organize auctions? Let's say there is no governmental limitation in terms of the taxation, in terms of the fees, in terms of the operation of the online auctions, but you don't have a WFP office. And some of the agencies have assets that they would like to consider for auctioning. How would you deal with that type of situation?
We are not there yet, but we have office in most of the countries, right? We are one of the agencies that have the highest number of offices in the world. So we haven't faced that yet, but I think you come like with how much the agency wants us to do that, how much it needs, and then we can definitely discuss. I see, Alessandra, you want to mention something, right?
Sure. Yeah, first of all, again, it's a journey. So easier to go, just to clarify, in countries that would allow us to do it, and in places we can give the maximum support. But the same as, and again, I go back to carpooling, okay? We had the vision on having carpooling work wherever, even without having the WP support. But I remember very well that for the first year, we were only going to places where WP was present because we wanted to have, as some colleagues pointed out, a local, office in charge of whatever happens, okay? After you learn and you improve, the objective here is to try and see. And so we will, and it's going to be fun to discover it together. Is there a way for UN operations to become independent and for global, headquarters like ours to design services so that over time the service can be as run as possible, and it's for both our ends to work towards this objective, right? And so right now we have many operations. I would say probably more than 20 operations of WP which are run without a WP office in carpooling at the OMT level, and we are absolutely fine and good with it, right? But it took some time for us to learn and for operations to see if they could actually completely sustain it. So at the moment, it's going to be easier to go to early adopters who want to jump on it with countries where it's probably easier, to get the approval from the government, and where we can very easily provide local support. We can also send somebody to support locally the operations in case of interest, and we can actually look at the other countries later on. So this is actually intended as a really journey. And when I say journey, I say it with the experience and the savviness of what we do with the UN Booking Hub. We know we can do it. It's just a matter of doing it together and doing it with colleagues that want to work with us on making it happen. So it's going to be a journey, and we will cover. Our vision is to cover all over the places, unless there are some legal or governmental constraints that wouldn't allow us to go. In that case, of course, there are other disposal ways which will be available anyway, because again, this service is complementary. It's supposed to be used where operations find it more flexible, more cost effective, and faster to be deployed. Over.
Yeah, thanks, Alessandra. I can see we have only 3 minutes left, but we also have Sabit, who has raised his hand for a very long time. Sabit, please come in.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah,
please.
Yeah, my question actually was on the licensing part, which was mostly answered. So it's clear that we cannot have this service in countries where licensing is required. But maybe a precise question, like you have probably done the assessment in percentage-wise, maybe how many countries require licensing? I mean, at least in Africa, this is where most of our operation is concentrated. So based on the knowledge I have, it's about 70-80%. So does this mean that 70-80% of the countries are out of the market at the moment, at least?
Well,
And,
let me
and
say,
Alessandra, sorry, maybe in the interest of
sorry.
time, maybe before you respond to this one, we can also give the opportunity to Andrew from FAO to ask that question. And then with that, maybe we can close and then revert in with written responses to the rest of the questions we have. Andrew, please. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I should say congratulations to the team. This is a wonderful innovation, and we'll look forward to improving it and upscaling it. Two questions. I am having the app on my phone here, and I noticed that it may need improvement in terms of adding all the instructions and guidelines that relate to the auction, because I have it, but when you tap to see the details of the instructions are not coming through. So, and this, I've specifically looked at the auction for Ghana. So possibly, I don't know whether it is the app or something you need to do to make sure that when the bidder logs on, they can see all the instructions relating to the specific auction. Otherwise, and then two, how do we actually intend to the public to know? Because I got to know because I am within the UN and the information was shared among the UN. So how does the public get to know? Thank you very much.
Can I go to this one, Alessandra, and then just quickly, and then we go to Sabit. That's thanks for the feedback on the app. Like we advertise in the newspaper, in the radio, in the social media. We advertise as to the networking that we have in the country. So we advertise as a live auction, as a seal bid. We advertise. Like certain countries work better on the newspaper, other countries work better on the radio, right? So that's how we advertise to let people know. And do you want to go to Sabit question, Alessandra? You were about to answer, or should I? You are muted. You're muted.
Go ahead and start yourself, and I join you.
No, we didn't do a full assessment. All countries that in Africa, I think we have done 7 or 8 countries, and the only one that we faced this issue was Kenya. So I know that a license is required for you to do a live auction, the auctioneer, but to run an online auction, so far we have not done, but we are, as I said, whenever we move into a country, we triple check with the government whether we can do it or not. So, but yeah, we haven't faced this as a big issue so far that you need. It was only in Kenya, out of 7 or 8 countries that we have run in Africa.
Yes.
Over.
Well, let me say, I just wanted to say, again, we get quite a lot of requests already from places that don't have limitations and where we can run with the service and test it, improve it, and add features. And by the way, I wanted to thank personally the colleague from FAO. This is exactly the type of feedback that we need to make sure that we improve the service. Yeah. What we do is that we listen, we start working with all operations, and we get requirements for us to continue to improve the service through requests from field operations, from people that are actually using our services. So this is also why, thanks for the instruction, let's say, thing, and never underestimate the importance of a very good user experience, which we really want to master, and we want to make sure that we will build a very easy to use solution, again, that is going to give just-in-time disposal when operations need it. Navigating through all of the issues that some of the colleagues here were pointing out, you know, if we cannot do it in some countries that will not require it, we won't go for it. And, you know, but again, that doesn't take into consideration how the UN as a whole can engage discussions with governments to try and untap some of the opportunities there for new modalities which are coming, that we like it or not. So we'll see this as a journey to be done together. Over.
Thank you, Alessandra and Thomas. We are already 3 minutes officially over time, but I just wanted to give you one last opportunity to clarify the question from colleagues about the scope of the auction, and with that, maybe we can then close the session. The scope, in essence, that how do you determine where are you going to do an auction? Is it that you will be collecting certain information from various agencies? What is the way for them to communicate to you? How would you decide that, okay, there is adequate level of assets in a particular location where you can work with the government and with the offices and start your auction even at the start, as we have right now?
I encourage actually the team, Thomas and Jeremy, to put, if you don't have yet, in the chat, the share mailbox where they can reach out, and we just discuss engage very, very quickly and start giving all the information to every single operation that is interested. And so we just start a tailored approach of a way forward for different cases. And we need to take it exactly. We took all of the other services. We start again servicing the ones which are more interested, and it's more easier for us to operate in, and we gradually move forward everywhere. Thomas, I don't know if you want to add anything. I see you.
Yes,
like you want to.
We need the SLA. So if you are interested, and we can share the SLA, start working on the SLA. That's what we really need as well, right? Like, we can engage with you guys. We can see if you have assets, if you are interested, but we need the SLA signed. So it can be quick, for the mutual recognition. You can just go and sign the SLA, but depending on the agency, may take a little bit more time. So that's something that, and we have other agencies that already took the SLA to their legal and headquarters, and they are reviewing. They didn't want to go through the mutual recognition, but there are ongoing agencies checking that. Over.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alessandra, Thomas, Jeremy, and colleagues for coming in today and presenting the UN System online auction services. And colleagues, thank you for being with us and raising the questions. We will be sharing with you the recording as well as the written FAQ or Q&As for all of the questions that has been raised here, including those that we couldn't get to and answer, but you'll receive all of those from us in the coming weeks. Thank you, Alessandra and the team, and everybody have a great day.